Hi everyone. So here is how you can get into cybersecurity in 2024. So cybersecurity is a vast ocean. Now in ocean you have so many things that you can explore, so many creatures that you can look at, and you see so many things that you can dive deep into. Similarly in cybersecurity you have so many fields that you can move into. So first of all we are going to discuss what fields are there in cybersecurity. Number one, application security. In application security, we try to fix the vulnerabilities in an already present code. Let's take an example of a web application. In a web application, there are a lot of input fields. Now, in those input fields, there could be missing of the input sanitization and validation, and that is much required to stop the SQL injections that could affect our organization's websites. Second is cloud security. In cloud security, you have to work upon the policies, the technologies, managing the access and the role. Now, when we talk about cloud, you have to build an infrastructure that is secure, that protects the data and follows all the compliance rules. Next is threat intelligence. In threat intelligence, we try to study the cyber threats and analyze the behavior of the hacker to predict the possible cyber attacks. Fourth is SOC, or Security Operations Center. In Security Operations Center, we try to analyze all the data that is flowing through the network. So all the traffic, all the packets that goes in and out, we use tools like Splunk, IBM QRadar and much more to analyze that traffic and block any possibility of attack at that point. Fifth is risk management. In risk management, we try to analyze and find the risks and we prioritize them. According to the compliance policies, we then mitigate them. Next is endpoint security. Everywhere that you will see around yourself, you'll find an endpoint. Your laptop, your smartphone, your refrigerator, your AC, your smart watches, your network router, your Wi-Fi access point, everything that is connected to a network and is a node is an endpoint. In endpoint security, we talk about securing these endpoints. We do it using IDS, IPS or firewalls. At seventh, it is IAM, or Identity and Access Management. In Identity and Access Management, we try to see who has access to what within an organization. We enforce the most important principle, that is zero trust and least privilege access. In zero trust principle, it is all about, let's say there is a king and he is in a castle in his room. So there is a king's room. After that, there is courtyard, there is lawn, and then some buffer area, and then at the gate. So at the gate, you'll have guards. When the gardener enters the castle, his ID will be checked. Then he moves to the buffer area. His ID will be checked again. Then he moves to the lawn area. His ID will be checked again. And when he tries to go further into the king's room, he will be blocked there. So in a zero trust, we evaluate the person's identity and authority at each and every point. Last but not the least, digital forensics. Digital forensics happens after an incident. Let's say a cybercrime incident has happened. So in digital forensics, you will collect all the evidence and then try to analyze it. What happened, why it happened, what were the reasons, how you can stop it from happening further. You look into the specific malware, how it works, what is the behavior of that malware, and all of that. Now that you know about the fields in cybersecurity, it is very important to have a strong foundation. Just like a building, the stronger the base is, the larger the building we can build. Similarly, in cybersecurity or in any other field, the stronger your fundamentals will be, the larger or the longer you can grow your career in that field. First thing for your strong fundamental knowledge is you know about your system. Now your system has a hardware and a software. So you must know what components of the hardware your system is utilizing, what specifications it have, and you must know what operating system you're working upon. It could be Windows, it could be Linux, it could be Mac OS. Right, but you must understand what kernel that operating system is using, how it works, and what other distributions of that operating system is available. Next is you need to understand how web works. You need to know what is a client-server model, how a request from your web browser goes to the server and comes back as a response from the server to the browser. You need to understand what is an ISP, you need to know what is a VPN, and all the other essential parts. Similarly, then comes the networking part. In the networking part, the most important thing you need is an OSI reference model and the TCP/IP model. what are the 7 layers of the OSI reference model, why we call it the reference model and we use it for troubleshooting, what protocols are involved in each of those layers. And even before that, you must understand what is an IP address, like what is the physical and logical components of networking. The physical components would include like switches, routers, and other things like firewalls, physical firewalls, your wireless access point. And logical components would mainly include your IP address and your MAC address. What is a MAC address and how it is assigned to your computer. And last but not the least is command line interface, CLI. You need to know your CLI. If you're using Windows, you need to know about the command prompt, you need to know about the PowerShell. If you're using Linux or Mac OS, you need to know the terminal. You also need to learn some basic commands like cp, cat. You need to learn commands like how you can check if processes are running, ps, how you can kill them using kill, how you can move around your computer system without using that GUI interface. Now the biggest and the most famous question that people get when they enter into cybersecurity is, do they need to learn programming? And my answer is yes and no. You need to learn programming, but at a point. You can start into cybersecurity, you can learn the basic principles, you can learn the theory part, right? You can learn using some tools, maybe working on Kali Linux or Parrot OS, right? You can learn about frameworks like Metasploit, but ultimately, when you need to go deeper technical into the cybersecurity field, you will have to learn some or the other command line or programming language. Because when you know how you can build something, you get the better idea of how you can prevent it from being broken. So if you are a C, C++ or a Java guy, you can go for system vulnerabilities. You can check the system coding, you can look at it and see what vulnerabilities that system or that software has. If you are a Python, Go or a Ruby guy, then you can go for scripting. You can write script, you can automate the task, you can automate some functionalities in your operating system. Maybe you have a long task that you have to perform and you have so many dependencies that are to be used for that task. So you can automate them using these scripting language. If you are working with the web or the web application penetration testing, you can learn languages like JavaScript. There are a lot of frameworks that you can work upon, but the most famous are the React and the Angular or the Next for the front end, and for the back end Node and Express. And also you can learn SQL or the query languages, because that will help you in understanding the SQL injections. And also you can learn bash scripting. Bash scripting will be most helpful when you have to automate some processes. Next is you need to add some tools to your arsenal. In the tools, you can learn tools like Burpsuit, maybe Wireshark, Nmap. These are very basic tools that you can explore into the operating systems like Kali Linux, or you can set up your own environment on Ubuntu. But after you explore these tools, no need to go very deep, but at least learn the basics of it and try to apply these tools maybe on the capture the flag programs, maybe create your own labs and test them. After you have done adding some tools into the arsenal, you need your name to be known to the community. And for that, one thing you can do is you can go out there, look for some certifications and get them. So some basic certifications that I would advise you is CompTIA Security Plus, one of the best certification you can do for the entry level. If you're going for the blue teaming, you can go for BTL1. Then if you want to go much more deeper, you can go for EJPT or OSCP. And there are more certifications like PJPT, CISP, the list goes on and on, but you have to at least start somewhere. Other thing, if you don't want to go and spend that money or put that money on a certification, what other thing that you can do is you can join some open source communities. In those communities, you contribute to those open source projects and there you make your name. Other thing that you can do is you can participate in bug bounty programs and follow the RDP. RDP is the responsible disclosure program. In a bug bounty, you have a specific scope that you can explore and you can test on those specific URLs or the domains that the company has allowed you to test. And also you can not only get the name for yourself, maybe you might also earn a bounty. Now for the starters, bug bounty is not that easy to go into, but don't lose the hope. Sometimes the basic bugs are the things that get you the name. Now after you have done so much hard work and learn about so many things, you must know what profiles you will be moving into, what profiles you have to look for when you are looking for a job. So first would be the security analyst. In security analyst roles, mostly you will be working with the monitoring and looking out for potential threats, and that is good as a beginner, because as a beginner you get to understand what problems you may find, right? Then you can go to a role like penetration tester. In a penetration tester role, you try to simulate the attack and find the vulnerabilities. Now you can test your skills as a red teamer and look out for vulnerabilities. Then there are roles like cloud security engineer. In a cloud security engineer role, obviously you will be looking with the infrastructure of the cloud. So you'll have to build a secure deployment where all the access are particularly defined, all the configurations and all the policies are being followed. Last but not the least, security architect. As a security architect, you make sure that your network of the organization, the risk that your organization faces, the tools that your organization is using, the employees who are there, they should get the proper awareness training. So in total, you have to make sure that your organization is using an architecture that is protected from all the possible security threats out there. So this was the roadmap for you to get into cybersecurity in 2024. If you want to know in detail about any of the topics or any tools you want us to cover, leave them in the comment section. Till then, keep coding, happy learning.